You must unite what has been set asunder.
We are TFR. Truth Frequency Radio.
As little as long ago, or far away as forever. This is where we meet to celebrate what never was as it comes to pass. Welcome, friends. I'm your host, Garcia. This is Secrets Revealed here on Truth Frequency Radio. I have as co-host with me this evening, Laurel Austin. Laurel, are you there, sister?
I'm here. How are you?
Doing well, and good to have you here with us this evening. And we have a special guest for the next 2 hours, David Weiss. David, are you there, brother?
I am. How you doing tonight?
Doing well, and I know you've been extremely busy with all that you do, and so why don't you catch the listening audience up with as far as your new projects, your new websites, or contact information, and kind of what you've been up to since the conference.
Just been researching all things flat Earth in my spare time since the conference. I do a podcast called the Flat Earth Podcast. That's simple. It's on SoundCloud, iTunes, and pretty much every podcast platform. The Flat Earth Podcast. A lot of fun. I do it with co-hosts, Curious Jay, and people seem to like it. So that's my main project. They come out randomly, sometimes 2 in 1 week, sometimes 1 in 3 weeks. It all depends on our schedules in our outside flat Earth life. Then my YouTube channel is DITRH, stands for Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, where you guys are familiar with my videos. They're mostly under 5 minutes. So there you go.
Yeah, I think that's has broad appeal too, because so many people have short-term memory, and so if you can't say it in 5 minutes, they don't want to hear what you got to say.
5 minutes
like
is actually long. I'm aiming for the 1 second video, but I haven't gotten there yet.
I love how your videos get to the point.
Right.
Thanks.
Yeah,
I intend them for, if somebody doesn't like something, you can't get them to sit down and watch a 2-hour video on it.
Right.
So my thing is just give them a little taste, little seeds, little tastes. And if they watch a couple of my videos, then they'll watch a longer one, then they'll listen to a full show. Then their lives will be ruined as ours were when we discovered the true nature of our world.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's flash back to November and touch upon the Flat Earth Conference and what you thought about that. And also speak about the bulletin board that you had kind of, brought all the attention, and that was the kickoff for everything. So if you would elaborate on all that.
All right. So the conference was coming up, and people were talking about different types of promotions. And I was actually listening to IPS, Infinite Plane Society, and he was looking to purchase some sort of advertising, and I told him my experiences with the effectiveness of billboards, and billboards are really a great way to advertise if you have it in your target audience area. And the beautiful thing about Flat Earth is any billboard anywhere across the plane is the perfect billboard for a Flat Earth billboard, because it affects everybody every day, everywhere, without exception. So came up with that idea. I tried to make it the shortest to the point billboard to get people to look into Flat Earth. So I one of my favorite videos is ODD's video, A Stranger's Guide to Flat Earth, 21 Questions. So I just made a billboard, big giant NASA fake globe on it, and I put a big fake stamp over it, and I wrote in giant block letters, "The Earth is not a globe," and A Stranger's Guide to Flat Earth. YouTube, A Stranger's Guide to Flat Earth, 21 Questions.
Nice. And the response was outstanding.
Yeah,
and,
it was great. We had people met at the billboard the day before the conference. It was 48 feet wide by 14 feet high on the side of a road heading into Raleigh, and we all met there. It was really exciting to just be around other people that have had their eyes opened. It was a lot of fun.
Did you hear anything as far as like just the general public, or did it attract people to come in and check out the conference, or any kind of feedback in that way?
It's really hard to see what it does, but I know, like,
Mm-hmm.
when you're driving down a road and you see that, especially if you're commuting on that road, you see it every day. We did go into a store one day, and the people in the store were talking, and they asked, what we were doing in town. We mentioned that we came from Connecticut, and they go, "What are you doing here? You're not here with that Flat Earth conference." We're like, "Yes, we are." I said,
Wow.
how did you guys hear about it? And they go, "We saw the billboard." So the fact that one person spoke out and told us that tells me that thousands and thousands of people, they actually said that the whole town is talking about the billboards. So
Mm-hmm.
it has, billboards are far reaching.
Yeah,
Yes, they are.
absolutely. Right.
I did. I'll tell you. I'll keep this under a minute. We did an experiment when I was in college. We had 4 groups of us. We each had $8,000 to spend on an advertising message. My group had billboards. Another group had newspaper. Another group had radio ads. Another group had television. And we spent the entire $8,000 putting a generic message out. That we surveyed to see how many people knew the answer before we put it out, and it was less than 1%. And then we bought 3 billboards in the greater Hartford area that basically just said Woodrow Wilson was the 27th president of the United States. And we had previously sampled the phone book before that, and less than, almost essentially nobody knew. I think one guy knew. But after having it up for 30 days, the newspaper had like a 5% increase in their message. The television had no increase. The radio had a single-digit number increase, and we had something like, I think it was 70% of the people knew,
Wow.
I think it was like 60% knew, and then there was another like 20% that said, "Oh, I saw that," and they were trying to remember the name and got it wrong.
That's astounding.
Yeah.
Uh, wow. Yeah, in your face, and then everybody commuting to work, or you know doing their daily routine, driving around the town and seeing it different places, and then if it's outrageous, what people consider outrageous, they're going to speak about it and mention it at the water cooler, that kind of thing. So
I try to think of just something that'll stick in your head. Like, you're driving down a highway and you see a big black billboard with giant white letters that says Woodrow Wilson is the 27th president of the United States. You're going to be looking for the next billboard that tells you why that was there. And it's basically just going to stick in your head. So, the earth is not a globe. That sticks. My
Right.
favorite search term right now, and it's very controversial, is Google flat earth clues, because flat earth clues gives you the best results. There's so many things. If you Google flat earth, you're going to end up with 2 pages of the Flat Earth Society before you get to any real results. If you Google flat earth clues, not only do you get Mark Sargent's clues, which maybe not even on his channel because it's mirrored so many places, you get other great flat earth videos without any of the garbage. So that's another one I put out there.
Awesome. Well, tell us about your experience, and what you thought about the conference in general, and then we'll get Laurel to comment also.
Well, being I've been a alternative truth seeker. Other people would call a conspiracy theorist. For many years, just looking into stuff, and that's a lonely world. But if you really want to cut yourself off from family and friends, you can tell them that the earth is flat. And luckily I have a thick skin for it, and that's why I'm so outspoken. But it was so amazing to be around hundreds and hundreds of people that are all on the same page. I met Laurel down there, and it was just everyone you met they have the same core understanding of our reality. And that was the most amazing part of it. I said the conference, I didn't expect to learn anything major, that I could learn online. And I looked at it as a giant meetup. And essentially that's what it was. But I actually did learn a few things down there. But just being around all those people was amazing. We hung out in the hotel bar area, and there's a whole bunch of us down there, and there was 3 televisions on with sports games, and nobody once looked at any of the games. We're all talking truth and not nonsense. It was revitalizing.
Awesome. So do you do meetups where you are now?
I've only been to one meetup that Zulu One, the YouTuber Zulu One, Mark, he put it together about a half an hour from my place, and then he got sick and didn't go. And there was only 6 of us there, but it was great. It was great. I hung out with 6 people, and you could really talk about things that matter other than drinking, sports, and television shows.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing coming together in congregation and fellowship with others when you can speak about really deep subjects and deep topics and go into meaningful conversation. Because that's the kind of communication you don't often share with people in the world, and most is shallow as far as the depth of the topic that you're able to go into with most other people.
I have to tell you that since I've discovered, that we don't live on a spinning ball and everything that goes with that, I have not had a moment of being bored in the last 3 years. Not a single moment, because either you're with people, you're doing things. If you have any downtime where there's nothing to do, there's a whole list of information that you can take in. And so there's always something to fill any spare time. And I do enjoy that.
Yeah, never a boring moment, huh?
Never.
Yeah. Laurel, what do you think? What are your recollections, and how do you feel about the conference?
It was the most exciting thing, meeting, like David said, hundreds of people like-minded on the same belief. It was just a deeper friendship and fellowship, rather, that you don't have. I mean, it's a deeper understanding that even people in your own family, you can't share it with, but you get there and you just start talking about all things flat earth. And it's kind of like at my Bible study group, there was one night when I learned that almost every single person that goes there is at least researching flat earth, if not already believing flat earth. And this huge smile just comes over my face, and I just light up, and it's just words cannot describe how wonderful it is. And when I learned that who David was, Didra, I was like, oh my gosh, I've been seeing you on YouTube, and I was just so excited to finally meet him face to face.
There's a lot of we all have a lot to learn. The rabbit hole is so deep on flat earth and everything that goes with it. And there's a lot of people, we have people that believe there's a dome, that it's an energetic dome, that it's made of glass, that it's made of something else, that there's an infinite plane, that, there's a whole bunch of different things that we don't know the answer. Some people believe there's more land out there. The cosmic egg theory by Martin Kenny. There's so much out there, and we had all of these discussions, but the one core thing that everybody there understands is that we don't live on a spinning ball. So right. I think that is the thing that ties us together. Yes, it's not a spinning ball. It is flat in some way, but that's fine. As long as you understand that you don't live on a spinning ball, we're all brothers.
Yeah, absolutely. And, this knowledge, even though it was once embraced and well known by the people of the world, the ancient peoples, we have been deceived for the last half a millennia. And so this is all new and now relevant for us. And we realize we don't have the answers, but most certainly those that have looked into it, we know that there's no curvature and that the earth is not spinning, whirling at 1,037 miles an hour, and we're not orbiting around the sun. So no matter what you think of all the other aspects of it, those two things remain true for most of us. And so, as far as the shape of the earth and all the other things, that's still being figured out. We at least now we're asking the questions and people are looking into it. We have a lot of scientists now that are coming on board that are examining things from with all new perspective, and so that's leading truth, and bringing it more and more uh, as far as the community. Uh, it, we're broadening our horizons and expanding that knowledge, and so we realize we still have a long ways to go. But the whole deception and the embrace and indoctrination of all that has been for 500 years. Our parents, our grandparents, their grandparents, everybody's been bought up into the lies and caught up in the deception that we never even second guessed it. And so at least we are doing that now.
So Zen, I have something to throw by you here. There's more and more evidence is showing up that it hasn't been 500 years. That I think that's just a story.
Could very well be, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So we found newspaper articles from 1900, April 1900, of a teacher that was being persecuted for teaching heliocentrism. And we, Curious Jay, my co-host, met a woman from I forget what country, Lithuania or somewhere over there. I forget. Don't quote me on that. And he was like, I think he was on a bus with her or something, and decided to just flat smack her with some information. And he threw out he threw out something, and she goes, "Of course the Earth is flat." And he's like he was taken back, and he goes, "What do you realize that most people think that we live on a spinning ball?" And she's like, "That's ridiculous. I was taught flat Earth in elementary school," and she didn't even know today. So we have the last generation of people, that are the centenarians are dying off now, and no one's gonna know. Like I always say, my grandfather, my mother is my father's passed. My mother is in her 90s. She's the only one that knows anything about him, and she's not even sure where he was from. And that's just recent history. So I say anything over 125 years ago is up for grabs, because we don't have a real record of anything.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And I know through Sacred Word Publishing, we've been releasing a lot of the forgotten, these lost books on the Zetetic cosmogony and things of that nature. 50 reasons that the Earth is not a rotating or spinning globe. All these different books, and so there's a lot of people that have known the truth, and certainly they have contested the heliocentric worldview and the whole, shoving of the Copernican system down the throats of everybody as far as the educational system and the young children. So, yeah, we don't know, and certainly the conquerors and those that have been lying to us all along, they can shape history in any manner that they want, and as long as they repeat the lie often enough, then that's what becomes true.
Think about this. I was born in the early 60s, and then we had the moon landing. So we landed people on the moon 6 times during Nixon's presidency, and most people in this world believe that the moon landings are real. But now I'm predicting that they're going to change history, because now that people are waking up to the fakery of the moon landing. You know how the astronauts and NASA keeps releasing, hey, we need to be able to get up above low Earth orbit. When my generation dies off, they can wipe out, anything that's on the internet. We're seeing the purge coming right now on YouTube. Excuse me. But they're going to change it, and they're going to say that the moon landings never happened, and people will be like, well, what about this book? Oh, that's fiction. It's a fiction book, and then they'll go back and they'll go, look, we never went to the moon. Listen to even the astronauts said, the ISS astronauts said that we can't get past low Earth orbit. And they'll have all of these seeds that they put in there, and they're just going to rewrite history. And in 30, 40, 50 years from now, nobody will believe that we ever went to the moon.
Mandela effect.
Right. Orwell, the whole 1984, rewriting history, scratching whatever they want to change. I mean, and certainly with the internet, a lot of truth is being expunged and disinformation is being taught it as truth. There's the whole propaganda arm of the government that creates the reality and then sends it on to the all these mainstream news channels, and they parrot it in the same way over and over on all these different local channels. And so, yeah, we're certainly living that and seeing the repercussions of it even now in this day and age. So
even flat Earth researchers still quote history, some things in history just as a given. But I've learned that almost anything I've questioned, if I look into it, the question gets bigger. I don't even know if the Dark Ages ever happened. I don't know. I don't know any of it. I mean, none of it is lining up with where we are today. And it's easy. It's easy to change history. I live right near New York City, and if I walk down the street, ask people how many buildings fell on 9/11, 99% of them would say 2, and that's people in New York City. They don't know about Building 7 and the other 4 buildings that fell also. And I would say in 20 years from now, Building 7 will never have existed.
Right. Yeah, and I watched the news just to see kind of what they're pushing on the mainstream, and things like the Valentine's Day massacre, and then the thing that happened in Las Vegas on May Day, all these different things, and the multiple stories, the multiple shooters, and how we just don't know anymore. They are spinning truth in so many different ways. You don't know if if even now with all the crisis actors, what is real, what isn't, what's complete trickery, complete fakery, and what's not. I mean, it is difficult to. Well, we know we can't believe anything that they say, but I mean, it is hard to wade through the BS. It is so thick.
Agreed.
Yeah, especially I know you've done a lot of examination with regard to Sandy Hook and the Boston bombings and other things. Can you tell us your perspective on just with regard to the Las Vegas events, and also with the Valentine's Day, all of that? And
excuse me, sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
My Boston expose that I did with PK on Caravan to Midnight just got strike on my channel, and got taken off of their channel also. So they've just purged that from YouTube. So anybody that wants to learn about what happened at Boston, it no longer can find it. So unless now, you're not going to be able to find that information. As far as Las Vegas and Florida, those are no different than Boston and Sandy Hook. That's kind of really not a lot to say there. These are capstone events. They've thoroughly been broken down by Sophia Smallstorm and Ole Damagard are two of the top people that have dug in there. If you don't know who Ole Damagard is, his website is Light on Conspiracies, and he breaks these things down and predicts when the next one's going to come, because in all of these events they leave clues to where the next one's going to be, and he's been able to publicly predict them many times in a row now.
Wow. Yeah, it's all. Yeah, these are fascinating times. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, if someone said, if you're not awake to the fact that these are hoaxed, FEMA capstone drills, then hearing somebody say that not only are they fake, but they put clues in them like a game to point out when the next one is, you sound absolutely insane. But unfortunately, It's the truth.
Right. All right, hold on. We'll be right back, everyone. All right, welcome back, everybody, for a second segment. Hey, David, can you mention what you just posted in the chat room with regard to Steemit and the blockchain and how those videos can't be deleted?
So when you load stuff on Steemit, has a YouTube type video service called DTube. So if you go to steemit.com and sign up for an account there, if you upload videos there, they're on the blockchain, and so there's no way for them to be deleted. So what I ask people to do is, whatever videos they're downloading, especially the ones that get deleted, is upload them to DTube and start spreading them around that way. The problem is we can't abandon YouTube yet, because all of the sleeping people are on YouTube. They don't even know DTube exists. They don't even know that YouTube is censoring things because they're just getting the content that they want. So we need to keep a heavy presence on YouTube, but also start backing up all of this stuff on multiple channels on Steemit. I think Twitch is also blockchain based. So, if you're looking for, a lot of people say, what can I do? I'm only one person. Well, one person can do a lot. If you don't want to get on the radio, if you don't want to make videos, there's a million things you could do. You can just plant little seeds around. Or if you're the type of person that says, I'm going to download this video before it gets deleted, back it up, put it up on DTube, and then share the link back to to wherever. Post it in a comment on that video if it's still up. Send it to other people. Tweet it. Just share it, and it'll get around, and it can't be deleted. That's the beautiful thing.
Yeah, certainly. I think it was maybe the turn of this year, even sooner actually, but most certainly with the algorithm shift on YouTube, they've been cracking down on alternative truth. We have, definitely felt the repercussions of all of that. The monetization, all of that has been skewed, and so it's really like for myself, it's not been, it's been impactful, but because I have backup revenue streams, it's not been as harmful. But I know for a lot of people that made their entire living on doing videos and hosting hangouts and things of that nature on YouTube, that it was extremely painful with the crackdown. And so can you talk about your experience with this and how it's affected you?
So I have never made any money on YouTube, even before the apocalypse, the adpocalypse. That's I don't want to say that it's about making money, but you know what? If you're making money on YouTube, good for you, because you know what? It takes a lot of time and effort to put these videos up, and people deserve their time. Like a channel like Jaronism. Jaron puts out such good videos. He spends so much time on there. He should be completely supporting himself from that if there was a way to do it, and That's one of the biggest scams going out there. One of the biggest psyops is to make people believe that if you do any of this and try to make money off of it, that's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's time and effort, and if you're going to devote your life to it, you need a way to support yourself in this world that we live in.
Well, absolutely. And the thing about it is that, none of us really got into it with that as purpose. All of us, we were just trying to share information, relevant information that we thought important to awaken others to the truth of what's going on in world and the truth of other aspects, whatever it is that we were focused on. And so it wasn't about that at all. But it is a blessing that, because information is very valuable, especially information like the things that Laurel speaks about in the vaccines and how they are harming children, and sharing her testimony and helping parents to protect their own children, through knowledge and insight and perspective and direct experience. I mean, those kind of things are invaluable. And so, for people that just hate and condemn others for having that revenue stream to help them, enable them to continue to do what they're doing. I know so many people that are just trying to share the truth, that are radio broadcasters that are focused on sharing truth, and yet they are struggling. They're living off the help and the aid of others, and they're not able to completely or independently support themselves, and things like this. And for people to just have to click through 4 or 5 second ads on a 2 hour video, I mean, how difficult is that? And still yet so many people complain. But go ahead.
What they don't want is successful video makers to make enough money to allow them to be even better and more successful.
Right. Exactly.
If they don't want, Jaron has pushing 80,000 subs or whatever, and people that watch his videos really like them. And you know what? His videos are hours, some of them, and he puts a lot of effort into them. Well, people pay $5 for a cup of coffee. What if you paid $1 a month to Jaron? Just one. And I keep picking Jaron because he just does so much, in my opinion. If half of his subs gave him $1 a month, that's $40,000-$50,000 a month. That's a lot of money. And he would take that and he would fly to Antarctica. He would buy the laser that he needs. He would do everything. But people, for some reason, don't. They won't cough up a dollar. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. Yeah, but you go out to a bar and, hey, let me buy you a round of drinks. Let me buy you a beer. People spend,
right.
It's like, what I say is, you like the video, tip the bartender, tip the bartender.
Right.
And people like yourself, you do this radio show every week. Everybody wants everything for free, but then they'll pay $150 a month for their cable service.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, to watch garbage.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't complain about the commercials on there, and the maybe they do complain.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. But hey, let me let Laurel comment here.
Wait, one more thing before Laurel jumps in. If there are people that we're used to the ad revenue on YouTube, DTube has a way better video revenue. You get paid for each person that watches it. I don't know how they do it, but you make a decent amount of money, far more than YouTube ever used to pay. So, yeah, take the time, look into that, and start spreading that around. We want to get that to take over YouTube one day.
And so you said in order to find DTube, you go through Steemit. Is that correct?
Yeah, to be honest, I haven't even gotten in there. I've just watched a few videos on there, but steemit.com, and then just sign up for an account, and it's pretty self-explanatory.
Okay, wonderful. All right, appreciate it. Laura?
I don't myself see anything wrong with a YouTuber putting a donate button on his YouTube. Can that even be done? I know it's done on Facebook.
I don't know if you can actually have a button, but people put links on there all the time. It's just what I tell people, you want to do something. Here's what you do. Donate $1 a month to your 5 favorite YouTubers. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
A homeless person could do that.
Mhm.
Okay, and then don't tell anybody that you did it.
Mhm.
Just do it and keep it to yourself.
Keep
Yeah.
truth moving. Keep
Right.
truth going.
And if everybody did that, we would the networks, the Cablevision, all of them would be dead in the water, because we would be producing the most amazing content, and it would go viral all over the place.
Yeah, absolutely. And then people could actually afford to focus and take the time to really accelerate in what they are creating with regard to the content and the research that they're doing. And yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I encourage people to do that as well.
Shane has a question for David from the chat about DTube. Wouldn't getting revenue while posting other people's videos be a criminal offense?
Now that you posted my videos, I welcome anybody to take all of my videos and post them over there. A lot of the videos that I'm referring to are the ones that are being deleted off of YouTube. Again, is it a criminal offense? I don't know how that's handled, to be honest with you. I'm not suggesting that you steal copyrighted content, but most of the real truth videos out there, we encourage people to mirror them.
Yeah,
Right.
I have Mark Sargent's Flat Earth Clues, but I also have links to his original and his channel too.
Of course, if you're going to do something, use someone's content, it's always nice to link back to it.
Absolutely.
Yep. To be honest, sometimes I forget. Like if I'm mirroring something, I sometimes forget, but I put it in there. But yeah, always link back, and it actually is good for the other YouTuber. It's like, wow, that's really good. I'm going to follow that channel, and they would have never
Right.
found it otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
Potter's Clay
personally,
has some. Sorry, Zen, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, I personally, encourage people to share my work as well, because I find that the more channels you are on and the more people share your stuff, the easier it is for them to find you in in the original format. But where it goes too far is like this guy that created the Rob Skiba 2017, which is a completely fake channel, and then he's stealing all the Rob's videos and posting them up as if he is Rob, and then monetizing them all. And and people believe that when they watch his videos that they're supporting Rob, and they're not. I mean, that's certainly going too far.
Also, don't impersonate anybody. Just make it clear that this is a video from XYZ user, and that you've posted it on DTube. So, is there a line that you have to be careful of? Sure. But check with the videos that you're downloading. Most of us, all of us in this room, are willing to share our videos. I know Jaren's willing to share his, and there's people that take pieces of other videos. Like I think it's 7-Day Truth Seeker always takes a little clips of Ghostbusters and puts them together for people that aren't going to watch a 3.5-4 hour video.
Right.
And I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah, he's posted a lot of my videos as well.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
Here, I got somebody. If somebody wants to make money on DTube, download all of my videos, upload them all on DTube, and monetize them for yourself.
Right on.
Okay? I'm giving you permission right now. Just send me a link, though, so I can help promote it.
Promote them, right on.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I want to go back to, you said that you were doing a lot of research, and that you have been since you returned back from the conference. And so can you go through some of the things that you've learned, or that you've been recently studying, things that have blown your mind since examining them?
My mind is blown every day. I wake up with a goal not to have my mind blown today, and usually by 6:30 a.m. it's gone.
Yeah, right.
I speak with Jaren a lot, and other researchers, and we're always putting our heads together trying to figure out little things. Are you familiar with Martin Kenny's work on the cosmic egg?
No, I'm not. I myself, I'm so busy, caught up in writing all the stuff that I write, that I don't get a lot of time to study other people's work, which is why I'm grateful for, those that do. And so, yeah, please do share.
Well, let me talk about Martin stuff for a second. Martin has come up with this cosmic egg idea where the Earth is flat and there's basically like dome over a dome over a dome, and they're energetic domes, and we live on the second level from the top. There's another smaller one somewhere around the North Pole, that's inside of us, and then beyond the Antarctic ice ring is another ring, and that's the Mars-Venus Sun-Moon system. And then beyond that ring is the Saturn-Jupiter Sun-Moon system. And what he's proposing is that Mars is a sun and Venus is a moon. And Saturn in the farther outer ring, in the outer space, is a sun and Jupiter is a moon. And did you know that, Venus has phases?
No, I didn't.
Venus has phases just like our moon does. And if you like, when NASA says they're going to Mars, in outer space, they're trying to go across the plane to the Mars system. Just like we have our sun is Apollo, and we have the Apollo missions. This would be a Mars mission. To send a ship to this outer space. Martin Kenny's stuff is on, his video is on the video page on the Flat Earth Podcast Facebook page. If anybody hasn't seen it, I highly recommend seeing it there. He's actually did an interview on Veritas Radio, which is actually coming out tonight. I'm excited to hear that one, but that's audio only. But the one on there's a video where he really puts this stuff together, and it's very interesting. So I've been looking into that a lot.
Oh, fascinating. Anything else of particular interest?
Nothing specific, just studying the moon and trying to figure out what the heck is going on there. Nothing really, nothing off the top of my head that I can think of right now.
Did you get a chance to experience the eclipse, and what did you think about that?
So the eclipse was great. So we live on the shore here, and we were at the beach, and we set up our chairs.
The shore where?
We're on the Connecticut shore.
Okay, right on.
So we had like a 80% eclipse here in Connecticut, 75 to 80%, and it was amazing to watch. The day leading up to the eclipse, people were freaking out in town, the ones that didn't get their solar viewing glasses. And people are on Facebook. Does anyone have any extras? I went to at the library, they had a guy doing a presentation on the eclipse. And so I went, it was packed, old people, young people. And he's just telling this whole heliocentric story. And I actually went up and asked questions afterwards, and that he could not answer. And they just started pulling stuff out of their rear ends to try to answer it. But one thing I did notice, they were forcing people to take 3, 4, 5 pairs of glasses. Don't look at the eclipse. So my girlfriend and I, we went to the beach, and we set up. We didn't even wear sunglasses. We were staring. We were sun gazing during the entire eclipse. And there's other people walking around, and this one woman, this was amazing. She was trying to take a picture of the eclipse by laying her reflective sunglasses on the ground and taking a picture of the sun in the reflection of her glasses, but she didn't want to look directly at the sunglasses because she could see the eclipse and go blind.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
and I'm looking at her and I go, do you realize that we've been staring at the sun without turning our heads for the last 5 minutes? And people just, they can't see it, they can't hear it. they're brainwashed that if you know, the elite are telling us whatever you do, don't look at the eclipse.
Right.
Yeah, that's like don't touch that to a little kid. When you
Yeah.
say it to me.
Both Laurel and I were able to witness it in total eclipse, and it was amazing. And I was staring at it directly too. And if you weren't looking at it with the naked eye, in my opinion, you would have missed really the magicalness of it, because when it went lights out like that, it was just awesome. I felt like it was like a total mystical experience. Laurel?
Well, I had 2 cameras going, and I was a sucker. I went and bought several filters for my camera lens. I mean, when you have expensive camera equipment, you're really afraid to go out on a limb and risk it. But I was looking right through my viewfinder of my camera without any protection on, because with those glasses on, I wouldn't have been able to see to focus
Right.
or anything.
Right.
But it was truly a remarkable day. And then, wow, lots of crazy stuff happening since then. Hurricanes and 5 days later and all that.
Yeah, especially considering that the ancients believed, eclipses, total eclipses like that, to be a portent of doom, and then um, the hurricane in Texas and the one in Florida, and all the craziness.
David,
Go ahead, Laurel.
did you think that was the moon?
I was just going to ask you guys the same question. What do you think went in front of the sun or made the sun get eclipsed? Let me phrase it that way.
Let me put it this way. In Photoshop, I couldn't find anything of substance.
Nobody again really knows. And then, this last book that I wrote on Paradise, the Sides of the North and the Mouth of the Congregation, part of what I talked about in that book was even Enoch. He speaks about the lesser moon, and in the Vedic cosmology they speak of Ratu and Kihu, these 2 supposedly dark bodies that are responsible for the eclipses. And so, I know a lot of people took those photos and the images that they shot and put them through Photoshop, and were not able to see anything of substance with regard to, supposedly the moon being a huge orb or whatever, crater filled and all that. But who really even knows? I mean, what about you, David? What did you think about all that?
So nobody has ever seen the sun approach or exit the face of the sun. Never seen the moon approach or leave it. No matter what equipment they're using, what conditions, which is fascinating. Doesn't make any sense to me. If the heliocentric model is true, there should be plenty of Earth shine reflecting on the moon. But we know that's nonsense. So I came up with a theory that it's actually being blocked from the backside. So have you seen my video called the projected sun?
No, I have not.
I'll put it in the chat.
Right.
So essentially, I say that the real sun isn't the sun that we see. We see the sun in our atmosphere, right where we see it. It's there, but it's actually either in the firmament, above the firmament, or just higher up, whatever it is. And we see it in that position, and everybody sees it relative to their own position. And whatever it is that's blocking the sun is behind the sun that we see and going in front of the real sun. And I actually did an experiment, and it looked exactly like the eclipse. So here's a way to visualize it. Imagine you hang a thin blue sheet in your room from the ceiling down, so dividing the room in half, and you're on one side of it, and then on the far side of the room, on the far side of the sheet, you have a bright flashlight, a bright light, and You're standing on. We're both on the same side of the room with our backs to the wall, but you're on one end and I'm on the other end, and we both point to the sheet, which I'll call the sky, where we see the light, and we're both going to point to different spots on that sheet. So you and I are seeing the sun, the apparent sun, in our own position relative to where we are. And then if somebody took a disc or a ball or whatever and slowly moved it in front of that flashlight or the light, we would both see eclipses. And you would never see it coming. You would only see it when it eclipses the sun. I'll put the video in the chat for anybody in there.
It reminds me of something that I saw recently. The Flat Earth Core guys, they talk about the data set and all the movements that they've been compiling all this information on the movements of not only the sun and the moon, but also the other planets, the wandering stars, and they postulate the same thing, and they speak about the same thing, and that the sun is, as you said, projecting, and what we see as the sun on the inner, with regard on the inside of the firmament, it's the visual projection of this object on the outside of the firmament, and that's it being intensified and projected and focused through the lens of the firmament.
Right. People say, what about the heat of the sun?
Hold on, David. We'll be right back, everyone, for second hour. All right, welcome back, everybody, for second hour. I'm your host, Zen Garcia. This is Secrets Revealed here on Truth Frequency Radio. I have as co-host with me this evening Laurel Austin, and as special guest David Weiss. All right, David, I want to give you a chance to finish up your thought before we had gone to break.
Where were we? We were talking.
Speaking about the sun and how it shines through the firmament, and you were making a comment on.
Oh yeah. So people said what about the heat? Well, the sun that we see is essentially a reflection. And I was in Vegas, and I was sitting by the pool, and the sun was off to my right, dropping down, about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and to the left of me was the hotel, which had all mirrored windows, and the sun was reflecting off those windows onto the left side of my face, and the real apparent sun was on the right side of my face. I could not feel the difference in the heat. It was the same amount of heat on both sides of my face from the two suns. So just showing that you can reflect. You can reflect the heat, the brightness, and if you look at it, I actually videoed it. If the building didn't have any seams in it, you wouldn't be able to tell which one was the real sun. So I kind of thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, again, with regard to all of what we are learning, certainly the world is explained by some as being all electromagnetic, and that the influences of these certain different bodies, we don't know, we can't explain everything, but we're having to introspect and reconsider everything in new light. And that's certainly what has been explained away with regard to the cosmology and the dynamics of it by the heliocentric and Copernican model, that all of that is flawed. I mean, just the fact that the Earth is not spinning at 1,037 miles an hour, once daily as it annually moves around the sun. I mean, all of that has to be reconsidered. The motions, the movements of the luminaries, as we see it in time-lapse photography, everything moving around Polaris, and Polaris being seems to be the fixed center of all of that movement. And so, yeah, we're having to reconsider a lot of other things. So what, anything other with regard to some of the things that you've been learning or examining, looking at? And I know that you are close with a lot of the other members of the flat Earth community. What are some of the other considerations you guys have been talking about or elaborating into? Oh, and also, David, if you would, can you speak about the book that you have put together, the picture book? It's really
Sure,
impressive.
sure. Well, we've been doing a lot of research into how high the sun is because there's flat earthers and flat earth debunkers out there that say, you know, the sun can't be 3,000 miles high because of this and that. I don't think it's 3,000 miles high. That 3,000 number came from allegedly Dave when he did a calculation to show how Aristophanes' experiment does work on a flat Earth. Um, and it does work with a small sun, 3,000 miles high, flat Earth. You got your posts. It makes perfect sense. But again, we're talking about the sun that we see, which I call the apparent sun, and it's literally right above the clouds. You know, we send up a weather balloon 120,000 feet. The sun is not much higher than that balloon, and I actually think that people on the ground see that sun even lower than the balloon sees it.
Footage that the Globebuster guys did during the eclipse, where they sent up weather balloons. I thought all of that was amazing. I mean, that was fascinating, perfect timing for them to do all that. And if you have not seen that, I definitely recommend people check that out. But certainly the weather balloon footage is giving us, you know, again, a bird's eye view of what the cosmology, once you get up that high, what's really going on up that way. And certainly the sun seems to be shining a hot spot on the, you know, the tops of the clouds once you get above that layer, and you can see kind of the, you know, even the hot spot in the water, and it seems to be localized for sure. And so how high and how what about the size? And any experiments on that? Some people say, what, 32 miles across, but I'm not really, and have not ever been really good with mathematics. Words have always been my medium of preference. And so, any examinations or experimentations in that regard?
So there's a book that just got translated from Dutch to English, and Jaron, I haven't even read it. I read a couple pages so far. Jaron shared it with me today, and one of the guys in there, his example was, he said, when you hear a noise, where do you hear it? And you hear it right in your ear. And when you smell roses, where are you smelling those roses? And that smell is right at your nose. It's not over where the roses are. And when you see something, you're seeing it in your eye. So when we watch the sun rise, we're only seeing what's in our eye. And I think the sun that we see rise is way less than 100 miles away. It might even be 15, 20, 30 miles away, but let's just call it 100 miles from where we see it rise. It goes over our head and it sets 100 miles on the other side. So your entire day, sunrise to sunset, the sun only traveled 200 miles from your perception, because that's the bubble that you live in. Everyone's in their own bubble. Like if we were in a field, or and it's really foggy, all right, and you're 50 yards away from me, I can't see you. I can see maybe 10, 20, 30 feet, and then it's total fog, right? So I can see 30-foot diameter around me before I can't see any farther. And I imagine you in the total fog, but you have your own dome of 30-foot visibility around you. And so that we all have to remember that we're all having our own experience, and we're seeing the world only as we can see it from where we are. Again, we're both standing on a beach. The sun is setting, and the sun is that line. The sun glare is going right across the water to my feet, but you're 50 feet down the beach, and it's going right to you. And I can't see yours, and you can't see mine.
Right. Yeah, and I would add, as we explained in last night's show, and speaking about the dynamics and the movements of the sun and the moon, that when we speak of sunrise and sunset, that's just the sun entering and leaving our field of perspective, and that what comprises our day is the expanse of that field of illumination, where it arrives and enters into our perspective, and where it reaching the vanishing point then leaves and exits our field of perspective.
Absolutely. Hey, getting back to the eclipse, something I've been working on is, do you know during the eclipse, you know those little orbs that people see around the total eclipse?
Mm-hmm.
There's like 4 or 5 of them. You know the image I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm. Like the little, I know what you're talking about. Like the little shapes, even when you're looking up at the sun, you
Right,
kind of
but
see. Yeah.
you can't see them except during an eclipse, and the reason is they're still there. They're still there when the sun is bright, but not until the sun is dimmed enough by the eclipse can you actually see them. But I noticed a similarity, that they look just like the moons that surround Jupiter. And I'm trying to upload a picture to the chat, where of these together. It's amazing. How do I upload a picture to the chat?
I think you just click the where you.
Do you see that little
that little photo thing on the
by
bottom,
the blue?
right?
Yeah, by that blue arrow right
Yeah.
Yeah,
to
I
the
did
left.
it. I did it. I select it, and it's not going. Oh no!
Click it again, and then click the folder, and it'll open up the folder on your computer, and then you'll have to submit image.
Yeah, I did it. It for some reason it's not going. I'll put it on the Facebook page and then post a link there for anyone that's in the chat. But it's amazing. So when I look at that to me shows that I think it's the same thing. I call it the sun moon eclipse system because I don't know what else to call it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at that and then look at the pictures of Jupiter or Saturn with its moons, it's very, very, very similar.
Similar, huh?
Yeah.
Could be a corresponding kind of thing, Again, these are things that we don't know about, and still learning about. Have you looked at, with regard to the North Pole and the supposed magnetic mountain and the abysmal chasm and all of that the different explorers make mention of with regard to that area?
I believe that there is as big of a secret in the north as there is in the outer southern hemisphere, that we call Antarctica.
Right.
If you watch Martin Kenny's videos, he talks about there's another toroidal field separating a place that he calls Agartha in there, and the farther out you go, the different the vibration is there. The outer space, the Mars Venus sun moon system has a more technological material life out there, and then if you go inward, it's a higher more spiritual existence, which is fascinating to me.
Yeah, it's fascinating to me as well. And then all of the mythology surrounding the places like Asgard, Agartha, Shambhala, Thule, all these different places, the Hyperboreans and the mythologies of. Have you ever read the Smoky God?
I have not.
Oh, that's a fascinating story. It's about a Norwegian fisherman that during the 1800s, he and his father supposedly traveled to the north and then found entrance and entered therein and met a race of giants that were very advanced and technologically superior, and spoke about it, and ended up getting locked up because of what his father was killed in the experience, but um, he was locked up and put into a mental institute, and then kept the story until his deathbed, and it was released. It's the Smoky God is the inner sun that is supposedly similar to what we see on the outer as the outer projection. That this is on the hollow Earth entrance at the North Pole. This abysmal chasm. But anyways, it's a fascinating story. Definitely check it out, and when you get some time, you can read it in one afternoon. But it's interesting, and he speaks about how they came out. Well, it's written from a heliocentric perspective, but you can apply it to the plane of the Earth as we know it. And he speaks about how they traveled through the interior and came out on the outer, skirts near the Antarctic southern limits, and but they thought they had come out of the southern pole. But we know that there is no southern pole, but there was a connecting link between the hollow Earth entrance at the north and then some outer connection, and that they came out and these whalers saved them, and all of that. But truly a fascinating story, interesting to examine, to look at, and it seems to be also tied to the occult worship of the black sun, and even the swastika being a symbol for this, and even the Nazis were supposedly talking to whatever entities that they were channeling, that they were told to go to the Antarctic regions, and that when they had built that base, New Schwabenland, that they were building on top of an already existing older structure, an alien structure, and so and these kind of things are also spoken about in the Emerald Tablets of Thought, the Atlantean priest kings speaking about the creation of some of these what we call deep underground bases or whatever, but these kind of things are found in the mythology, and supposedly the British SAS, when they went there for Operation Tabaran, they expounded to their superiors the same thing that the Nazis were building into and onto an already existing structure. It's all the stories are just
Have
truly
have
fascinating.
did you hear my talk a while ago with Sophia Smallstorm that I called the outward flow of civilizations?
I No, I don't believe I have, but I think she's a fascinating person. But if you would, can you elaborate on that, and also speak about what you think is going on in the Antarctic region with, suddenly the reports of all these discoveries of ancient pyramidal structures and that kind of stuff.
So yeah, there's stuff being discovered underneath the ice, which means at one time the ice wasn't there.
Right.
We have all of these stories of ancient civilizations, the Mayans and all these advanced civilizations disappearing. So where did they go? And did they just die? But there's no real evidence of that. Did they get abducted into space? Well, we know that's not the case.
Right.
So I have a theory that we live in this realm that we call Earth, in this ring or that we call Earth, and we can't go all the way to the north. We've been convinced that we can't by them showing us, the guys that explored the north and froze they were frozen, and no kid wants to go to the North Pole because it's dark, windy, and 40 below zero and blowing 100 miles an hour wind. I think that's all a farce. And then we can't go outwards because it's, one, the Antarctic Treaty, two, it's just desolate, cold, and dark again. So
Mhm.
we're stuck in this ring.
Mhm.
But I believe that these rings are expanding outwards. So let's say in 5 years, 10 years, 100 years from now, whatever the time frame is, all of a sudden, all of North America doesn't come out of a freeze. The cold has marched from the north and just covered North America, where it's snow on the ground all year long. What are the people going to do? They're going to migrate on the flat earth outwards. So we're all going to move to Central America, South America, and equal latitudes around the flat earth. And
Mhm.
we're going to stay there. So now the Antarctic ring that has also moved outwards. So now Antarctica is a temperate climate, and the civilizations, we start moving outwards. But now we can't go into North America because it's now like the Arctic was. It's frozen, it's cold, it's desolate. And I believe that at the center, a new sun is born. And that sun will be the new center civilization. And again, it's separated from our ring, and everything is moving outwards. So the Mayans, they moved outwards and we're just separated. They might be in that outer space right now. They might be visiting us daily because they're only a couple thousand miles away.
Hmm. Interesting. There's even the Vedic cosmology, the Srimad Bhagavatam, it speaks about some land out past what we consider to be the outer ring, this Antarctic, perimeter, and they speak about other lands. And have you seen that the Buddhist map that was found 1,000 years ago in some monastery that also shows these island continental landmasses, which are unlike anything that we've ever seen with regard to there being plotted or placed upon any kind of projection map. But it seems to be, as the Vedic cosmology describes as well, the whole island groups on this outer ring, which it also reminds me of. There's another story called the History of the Rechabites. That's a biblical account that speaks about this land and these people that are kept separate, almost like the Amazon, the Wonder Woman, and how they had that island that was veiled in mist and that was seemingly obscured from most people's ability to perceive it, and that it could be that kind of a thing, and who really knows? But certainly they're not allowing us to, or humanity, to explore beyond these limits as far as the Antarctic Treaty and all of that they have placed and imposed this barrier upon us. But who knows, how far you can go and whether you can explore out beyond this perimeter, this contrived, no go zone. It'd be interesting though to see.
Yeah, there's so much to consider. And you know, you mentioned in that we were talking about that other book where they said it was an alien civilization. I don't use the word aliens anymore. I use the word extraterrestrials. They come from the extra terra, the extra
Mm-hmm.
land beyond, outside of the boundaries that we're trapped inside of.
Mm-hmm. Or that we are normalized to,
Yeah.
certainly. And that the interior again. I do believe in the research that I've done, even with the ancient explorers and their accounts of this abysmal chasm. Even the scriptures speak of it as the bottomless pit at the north, that there's this entrance into the interior of the earth, and that, that possibly, as the mythology goes, the ancient accounts, that there are other civilizations of other type beings, even within the interior, and that we are all living on in different, almost like just different areas of the world where we are all kind of limited to in our existence, but they are all connected and overlapped, but still separated. And that separation is maintained somehow, whether it's spiritually through, some kind of vibrational force. You have to be at a certain spirituality to enter into this space or that, or, we don't know exactly how it works, but there's definitely too many stories of too many different things, esoteric type subjects that in the mythologies and the different ancient accounts, and to just pass it off as meaningless.
Hey, when we come back from the break, I want to talk about MH370, the flight that disappeared, the two Malaysian flights, and
certainly.
how that relates to the flat Earth.
All right, let's give Laurel a chance to comment here.
So when the eclipse happened last year, one of the advantages of living in the middle of the country, I was right where totality was 100%. And wasn't it projected that in 7 years from then, it was going to go across the other direction, causing a big X to form on the United States?
I believe so.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah,
And the
that's
other interesting,
concerning.
yeah, the other interesting with regard to that is that the shadow, the shadow of the uh, whatever it was that was casting and blocking out, that it was only 70 miles across. And if you have a shadow that's small, it you can't have the object be larger than that. So that also shows, as far as the dimensions and the size and of the kind of objects we're um, dealing with, that they are much less smaller than what we are told with regard to the cosmology and the Copernican heliocentric model. So, do you have a comment on that, David?
No, I'm with you. I agree.
Yeah. So, definitely a lot of anomalous and intriguing. With regard to all of that happening, there's a lot that they couldn't explain, and that we are forced to again re-examine and reassess and um, redetermine truth along this. All right, we'll be right back for final segment. All right, welcome back everybody for final segment. I will turn it over to you, David, and also I want you to comment, if you would, on the chemtrails and what you think about all that as well. And if you've seen that new movie Geostorm, where they speak about, the weather manipulation and how governments have weaponized all of that.
Yeah, I did watch Geostorm for just to analyze what they're putting in there.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of that is to throw people off. I think that the chemtrails are far more than weather manipulation.
Right.
They have to do with, there's so many factors with it. I'm not even sure they're coming out. Yeah, I'm not even sure they're coming out of real planes. There's many reports that there's red blood cells that have been found in the sky. So, are they using blood magic on us? I mean, if you think about it, their rituals in blood magic and everything else, it's beyond what my mind can even process.
Right.
There's so many videos where you can't even, it looks like an orb is flying, leaving the chemtrail. And there's a lot of theories that I'm not discounting yet, that there's a, for lack of a better word, a holographic plane put over the thing that's actually spraying the chemtrails. I don't know. I'm not claiming any of that's real. I'm saying there's far more unknown than is known. But if you want to see a good documentary on the physical part of chemtrails, Frankenskies is good. Have you seen that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, free on YouTube if anybody's looking for it.
Yeah, Matt Landman.
Yep.
He's actually just released a director's cut and has asked us to release it here, and so we'll be uploading that very soon as well. But
excellent.
Yeah, continue.
And Matt is a person that knows that we do not live on a spinning ball. So
Yeah.
That's good. He's supposed to come on the Flat Earth podcast, but we just haven't been able to sync our schedules up lately. So
Right
I
on.
want to talk about. Have you heard the latest rabbit hole about no fuel on jet planes?
What?
What?
Wow, you guys haven't even heard about this.
Yeah.
Just keep waking up.
Yeah, no, it's we've been trying to find a reason that this is not true, and the more we look into it, the more ridiculous it is. In a nutshell, I'm sure some of the listeners have heard about this. They say that the fuel is stored in the wings, and it's not. The wings are filled with hydraulics. If you ever looked at a Boeing 320 with their flaps fully extended, there's no fuel in there. There's no room for fuel in there. The amount of fuel that they say goes on there is ridiculous. You'd have to put 80 SUVs on each wing. That's how much fuel in weight they say is in there. There's no fuel smell at the airport. I was actually just in Costa Rica, and I watched the planes where we're on the ground floor, big glass. I had full access seeing the planes pull up to our gate. It's the kind of airport where you have to walk out to the plane and walk up the stairs. They never once hooked up fuel. There was no fuel trucks, and they weren't hooking it up with underground pipes. I watched. My Airbus 320 came in. It only has a 7 hour flight time, and it came from JFK and went back without refueling.
Interesting. Yeah, thinking about it now, I remember every time I get on a plane, they pull right up to the gate, and people get off, and then we get on, and they go right back out.
The amount of fuel that they say they put on these things, it would take a week to go through that tube. There's so many things wrong with it. But the way these jet engines work, and if you listen, next time you hear a jet engine, you're going to hear it totally different. It's working on harmonics and air pressure, and it just runs on air pressure. They even admit that they start the planes, the engine, with a thing called a huffer, which puts compressed air into the engine, and once it's going, it generates its own air pressure to keep itself going. So jet fuel is a hoax. I mean, there is jet fuel.
Fascinating.
All right. So just put that on the side. And if anyone has just heard this for the first time and is believing me, they're nuts. You have to look at it and think about it and see that it's impossible to have nearly the amount of jet fuel that they're talking about in any way, shape, or form. MH370, that plane disappeared. It had some interesting people on it too. It disappeared, and they never found any sign of it. Is it possible that the scientists on this airplane, the people on this airplane, made a run for it? They're like, we're out of here. We're going to the Iron Republic. We're going to the outer space. And they took off knowing that they won't run out of fuel. Because here's another thing. During the, we talk about how there's large sections of the Southern Ocean that are not on GPS because they don't fit when you wrap it around a ball. So if you look at the flat Earth, there's big pizza wedges of ocean that don't exist out there that GPS has eliminated so you can wrap it around a ball. You with me?
Yeah, absolutely.
So during the search for MH17 or 370, whatever the number was, one of the boats went missing. One of the ships went missing for 4 days. They couldn't find it on the radar or on the GPS or nothing. It was missing for 4 days. And then 4 days later, boom, it popped out somewhere else. It was in a no charted zone.
Right,
and then the people on that boat were silenced. They weren't allowed to talk about it.
That's interesting too.
Yeah. So and you've heard of the Iron Republic, the book called the Iron Republic?
No.
Now, you're not listening to my podcast. You got to tune into the Flat Earth podcast.
Yes.
With
I'll have to definitely do that.
Yeah.
Just been busy. Yeah, please go ahead.
Well, now, Dave, I was subscribed to it, and YouTube keeps unsubscribing me.
Do you listen to the podcast? We have a commercial in there that says if you're listening to this on YouTube, you're old school. You gotta subscribe to the podcast. Everybody has a smartphone, almost everybody. And on you have a smartphone? Before I open my big mouth.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You have a podcast player on there. If you have an iPhone, it's the iTunes podcast player. If you don't have one, just download a free podcast player and then subscribe to the Flat Earth Podcast. You just search Flat Earth Podcast. There it is. And it automatically downloads the file to your phone. And then you can listen to it. It remembers where you were, which ones you listened to, which ones you haven't listened to.
Okay, right.
Awesome.
It's the only, and you can listen to it at double time. So you can listen to it in half the time. You can speed it up. And it has a jump forward and jump back 30 seconds, so you could skip over our annoying announcements that we make in the middle of the show.
Right on.
All right.
Cool.
So the Flat Earth Podcast available on all podcast players. But quickly, the Iron Republic is the story was it was a senator or some congressman in New York back in the 1800s was ousted because of whatever reason. He ended up getting a large ship, a boat, and going south, and he was going around Antarctica, and he found an opening in the what appeared to be the ice wall, and this fissure, and he went through it, and they came out, and now they're in this big ocean. They were lost for weeks, then months, and then finally they saw land, and as they were approaching, a boat came out, and saying, hey, who are you, where, what are you doing here, and they're like, well, we're from America. Where are we? And he goes, this is the Iron Republic. And they said, where is the Iron Republic? And he said, we are about the same distance that America is from the Antarctic ice wall, as you are. And then it's the whole story about what life was like over there and this whole thing and how they got back. And it was written up as a series of articles in a magazine called Florida Magazine in the early 1900s. And you cannot find a single copy of that anywhere on the internet.
Wow.
I mean, you could find anything. You wanted an old, magazine from whatever, you can find anything. They're always available. They're all gone. But it's on PDF form. It's on, you can just find it. Just search the Iron Republic audio. It's a short listen, and it's amazing. Amazing story.
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely, you piqued my interest for sure. And just so you know, I'm not listening to anybody just because of, the amount of work and the books that we're putting out. But definitely I'm going to be checking you out. And that story has me absolutely fascinated.
If I had known that both of you haven't listened to all of my podcasts, I would not have come on today.
Sorry, brother. But,
okay.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Right on. But I know that you are doing a lot of good work out there. And can you mention before we get to the end of the show, talk about your book and where people can go to support and are you going to be doing another one at any time?
I plan on doing a new book for or an amended version of the book. And basically I was just going to make a book of memes. Flat Earth memes, because again, people short attention spans. It would be a great bathroom book, coffee table book, for people, because memes are very, very powerful, where people don't even read anymore. They look at memes.
Like bulletin boards.
Yeah, like billboards.
Billboards.
So I made this book, and it ended up being 120 pages or whatever. And I just printed it out through through iPhoto and Apple Books. You get these photo books. I got a hardcover, and I made it for myself. And then I was like, wow, this is really good. I made a video of it, and I put it on, and people went bananas for it. And I was like, you don't want it. It costs with shipping and everything, it's $115 a book. And I ended up selling a couple hundred of them.
Awesome.
But I sold them at cost. As a matter of fact, I lost money because some people have taxes different in this state and that state. And I got accused of selling a book for $115. And I offer the files are for free. They're on some, I don't even remember the name of the site, but there's a picture site that they're on. I'll look it up in a second. But I said tell people download the files yourself and print your own book. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to put it together in a better way, and then maybe I can get a couple hundred of them printed for less and bring them to the conference and distribute them there.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Well, let us know if you need help with any of that. We do printing and all that, so
I
might be
will
able to
definitely
get
shit
you a
off.
better price. Yeah.
Yeah, but
I saw your book. It's fascinating. I went through all the pages of it and read all the different, and I thought you did a brilliant job.
Now, where did you see the book? Did somebody buy one?
I'm not sure how I saw it, but
Did you see it on I made a video of it flipping through it, or the actual book?
No, it was actually I saw the different pages. Maybe it was a link. I don't remember exactly how it was, and I think it was when you.
I had a flip book. I had a flip book online. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's what I saw.
But then that site they charge a lot of money for that after the first month.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I did it for free for the month or whatever it was, and then they wanted like $200 a month to have it up. I'm like,
oh my gosh, that's insane. Yeah.
I'm not selling anything. Yeah, it was really effective. No, it was great. I put it on the coffee table. I don't discuss flat Earth or any controversy with my family. My kids are on board. They know.
Yeah.
They know the Earth is flat. But we had my extended family over for Thanksgiving, and my nephews were over, and my college age nephew and one that's just out of college picked up the book like 5 minutes after we were hanging out in the living room, and they're going through it page by page. I didn't say anything, then they're looking at it, and they looked at me and they asked a question, and I explained something, and I said nothing really. And and then after dinner they looked at it again, and then when they were leaving, I said, so what do you guys think of the book? And my older nephew looks at me, he goes, I guess I'm a flat earther. He goes, before today, I didn't even know that was a thing. He goes,
right. Awesome.
Yeah, and his brain melted. It was fantastic.
Man, that is awesome. That's great.
So it's a great book. I'm thinking about. I see that Robbie has me listed as a speaker at the conference. And I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to be doing yet if I am speaking. But I was thinking of doing a seminar on how to talk to friends and family about flat Earth.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
You should maybe do a small segment too, just on your book and that story that you just told us, and then show some of the work that you've done, because I think a lot of people would be interested in it. Again, I think you did a superior job, and all the images and the words, and short and precise. It wasn't elaborate like my books are verbose, 400 pages of a lot of words and not enough pictures, and yours are certainly much more profound, much more precise and attention grabbing, I think.
And again, I didn't make all of those memes. Most of them, I modified other memes out there. So I take no credit for any of it, and it's a shared effort. But the beautiful thing is you can grab it, open it up to any page, and one page will plant the seed. And once you start looking at this book, you're infected.
Right.
There's no getting away.
It makes you think.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, each page. Consideration too, as far as the people that have the short attention span, it doesn't take a whole lot. You don't have to read a whole bunch of chapters or anything. But go ahead, Dave.
I was just gonna say the reason I make short videos and picture books is because I have the short attention span. I am that guy. I'm Mr. ADD. Although flat Earth, I'll see someone flat earther that I like. Oh, look, put out a video. I'm like, yes, 2 hours. I'm excited.
Right. Yeah.
I'm like, it's only 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we've got 7 minutes remaining. I wanted to ask quickly if you could give us a rundown on what it was that woke you to these truths and got you to look into it, because I know for all of us, we all consider the topic to be lunatic fringe, and we're very hesitant, and but finally in examining it, it's undeniable.
What
So
got me into flat Earth? You want to know?
yeah, yeah. And what was the things that made you a believer? The particular
Okay.
what topics, what issues?
So again, I was doing my deep inside the rabbit hole. We talked about all the big hoaxes and false flags, and people started sending me flat Earth videos. A bunch of people did, and I wouldn't watch a 1 minute video. I banned people from my Facebook page, from our social media, and then one day I was actually talking with Sophia Smallstorm again. And we were talking about Boston and Sandy Hook and everything else. And we're talking about just all the deception in this world. It was overwhelming. And she goes, you're right. And she goes, and for all I know, the earth could be flat. And I was just, that was it. I'm like, what? And she goes, here, I'm going to send you a video. And I think it was Flat Earth Clues that she sent me. If it wasn't, I ended up on Flat Earth Clues right after it. And I said, all right, that's it. I'm going to debunk this. And we all know what happens when you seriously try to debunk flat Earth. You become, Ditra.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, the simple things. There is no curvature. the southern flight routes. Nobody flies over and circumnavigates. North to south. You can go over the north, but nobody goes over the south. Right. Any straight line ends up going south no matter what direction you started in. That's amazing. And you know what else? That's true on a ball.
Mm-hmm.
It's true on a ball, but on a ball, people believe if you go south, you can come back.
Right.
The only great circle on a ball is on the equator.
Mm-hmm.
But people think that, I went over the North Pole and got to the other side. That's the great circle. No, the great circle is if you kept going and came back. Nobody can come back.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah, and then for the other big thing for me was just that the whole ludicrous, the motion of all the Earth around the sun around the Milky Way galaxy,
and the stars never change.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah,
it makes no sense at all. And the moon going around, the sun is holding on to the earth with its magical gravity, and the earth is holding on to the moon. But when the moon goes around the earth away from the sun and towards the sun, wouldn't it speed up and slow down at least?
Yeah, you would think so, right?
Mm-hmm. It all of those motions are so ludicrous.
Ludicrous, right?
People are so brainwashed that they can't see through it. They'll fight to the death to protect their paradigm.
Right. Yeah, and I've learned, like you, with regard to family members and loved ones, to just plant seeds, but not try to force anything or to try to engage them in conversation, especially if they're unwilling to listen. And I kind of treat the whole world in the same way now. I'm not trying to force anything, but people that are interested, that come to me and want to know, then certainly I'm open to engaging them in conversation. But I don't find it necessary to have to convert everybody to flat Earth.
Yeah, it's one of those things that people wake up to many things and then they just forget about them. Once you wake up to flat Earth, I don't see anybody forgetting about it.
Yeah, you can't go back.
Right. That's the part.
And if somebody does, like Joe Rogan, something's not right there.
Well, he sold out. I mean, he admitted
right.
that he's available for sale, and he sold out. There's no doubt. People like him.
Is that like a Tiger Dan story or something?
No. So Tiger Dan, people say Tiger Dan was a shill. No, he wasn't. Tiger Dan was really putting out some amazing work, but he was a lone soul. Nobody knew who he was. He was living by himself. If I had to guess, if someone said, hey, guess what happened to Tiger Dan, I would say that he was silenced. that he
Right.
was told to shut up, that he was
Threatened.
threatened, something horrible could have happened to him. Because you remember on Patricia's show, he said, if you ever hear me say that the earth is a ball, or something, he goes, no, I'm being tortured.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He said
and he
that.
had an excellent video that I downloaded, the 75 Bible verses.
Amazing. And
Loved it.
Yeah, but he did so many things, but the couple of videos that he did when he went down, the dark side, we never saw his face. They didn't make any sense. He never finished them, and then he vanished. So here's what we can say about Tiger Dan: we don't know what happened to Tiger Dan.
Right.
That's it. We don't know.
Yeah.
Do we know what happened to Russian Vids?
Yeah, Russian Vids is back. He
is?
his channel got shut down, and the trolling gets to us at sometimes. He took some time off. He did a hangout with PK and How I See the World the other day, and he's actually on Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes tomorrow, Friday.
Okay, right on. Excellent.
Yeah, so Russian Vids, he does great work, and he's exposed a lot of things and woken up a lot of people, and if he stopped doing anything from here forward, he's done his fair share in my book.
Yeah, absolutely. He had a lot of people. I've seen a lot of his videos back in the day when I first woke up and had the time to examine a lot of this stuff. But
I'll say this about Russian Vids is he doesn't get caught in the trap that most other truthers out there. There's a lot of people that have it almost right. The people that are dealing with Florida and these other shootings. They're not drawn. They're drawn a line. They're like, okay, some people died, or there was a shooter, or there was multiple shooters. They're wrong. They know that it was a hoax. They know that the official story is wrong, but they're believing some of the official story, and the entire official story, from the witnesses on, are all nonsense.
Well, certainly seems to be, there's always drills. First off, even with this Florida shooting, there's always these drills.
Yep.
And so we don't know. I mean, as far as the propaganda, all we know is that we're being lied to. To what degree? Yeah, go ahead, brother.
I'm sorry. You're absolutely right. And YouTube is cutting all the videos out. Sage of Quay did a video breakdown with Sophia again and a police officer. It just got taken off of YouTube today. He got a strike for it, but I believe he used another service and uploaded it to his blog. So check out Sage of Quay Radio Hour blog, and follow that. If anyone's not following that, he puts up great stuff there, and he'll be having lots of the videos that are getting deleted up there.
Okay, brother, final comment. We've got like 15 seconds.
Subscribe to the Flat Earth Podcast at theflatearthpodcast.com. All the links to all of our social media are there.
All right, brother. Hey, we appreciate you.
Thanks,
God bless
Dave.
everyone.
All right.
Thank you, Laura. Good night, all. Shalom.